Hello friends, and welcome back to another tutorial video with 27 Plumbing. Today I'm going to show you how to replace a tub spout, and no, the title is not clickbait. What I'm going to show you today is, in my opinion, truly the best DIY method to replace your tub spout. Really, it's just a great method to replace your spout in general. This method is going to leave you with a high quality product, it's going to be incredibly simple to install, and it's also going to give you a nice firm installation as opposed to one that's hanging off of the shower wall like the existing one here in this video was. If you notice at the beginning of this video, the tub spout was constantly trickling water even though the diverter had been pulled up for the shower mode. This is one of the two problems that was occurring over here. The other problem was that the tub spout was very noisy. It was producing a high-pitched squealing sound when the shower was being used. Both problems are with the diverter. In this case, the simplest solution is to replace the spout. The existing spout is what we call a slip spout. It simply pushes onto the copper piping that stubs out of the wall, and then there's an Allen key. Some variations might have a Phillips head screw that tighten down and lock it to the pipe. Now, I don't particularly have a problem with slip spouts. The only thing I really don't like about them is that in many situations, it's about impossible to get the spout to go all the way up against the wall. This is because as you go to push the spout onto the tubing, if that copper is not completely supported within the wall, you'll usually end up pushing the copper into the wall just a little bit as you push that spout on. And so when you release, that copper comes back and you have a slight little gap between the shower wall and the tub spout. If you seal that gap up, you're okay. In many situations, the spout is going to be on enough where you'll have a leak-free connection, but depending on the width of that gap, it could be a slight eyesore, or you may even have a situation where you can have a lot of water getting back because it's just too large to seal adequately. In this situation, the first thing we'll do is use our Allen key to remove the tub spout. Once that Allen screw has been loosened up, the tub spout can then pull right off of the pipe. We're then going to take our knife and remove all of the caulking that have been installed around the previous spout. I actually have a tool that works a lot easier for this application. Unfortunately, I was recently using it in my warehouse and forgot to put it back in my vehicle, but I'm going to link it in the video description because it's going to be so much easier for you in situations like this one where you have a pretty significant amount of caulking that just doesn't want to come off. I'm also going to provide links to the products that we will be using in the description of this video as well. Keep in mind that these are affiliate links, which means that if you choose to click one of the links and then make a purchase, I do receive a small commission at no additional cost to you. I appreciate your support if you choose to do so. If not, I still appreciate you watching the video, and I'm glad that you're here. Now that we have most of the caulking off, I'm going to be cleaning up the area as best that I can. I prefer to use scrubbing bubbles in a Scotch-Brite pad. You can use whichever cleaning solution you prefer. Now that it's been cleaned up, we've got just a little bit more caulking to come off. Sometimes using that cleaning solution will actually help to soften that caulking and allow it to pull up easier, which is what occurred here. I'm now taking a piece of cleaning cloth and I'm just going to shine up the copper a little bit. You could do this with your Scotch-Brite pad as well if you prefer. I just happen to have both products today, so that's what I'm using. You'll notice there's a little bit of a gap around the pipe coming out the wall. I like to seal these gaps up. This is somewhat of a redundant step because you will see how we're going to seal around the spout later, but I still prefer to do this. In this situation, I'm using plumber's putty. You can also seal it with silicone if you prefer to do so. Again, this is somewhat of a redundant step, so if it's just a real challenge to get it 100% watertight right here, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I'm now going to cut off some of the extra copper tubing as it's a little bit long for the system that I'm going to use. Okay, here is where we get into the installation. We are using a Delta tub spout. Delta has a system that I think is just phenomenal when it comes to aftermarket spout replacements. We're going to start by using their universal brass adapter. Now, Delta does make a couple of different style adapters. The one that I recommend for you is the one that I'm using today. This one uses a set screw, so it simply slides onto the pipe and you tighten the screw down. I first grease up the O-ring and then I tighten that Allen screw against the pipe. You don't have to go crazy Hercules tight with it, you just want it to be nice and secure. The set screw is not what's making the seal. The set screw simply keeps it from flying off when you turn the water on. So you want it to be tight enough that it has a good grip on the pipe, but that's all you're really looking for here. Now I'm going to go ahead and take some grease and grease up the exterior O-ring. This is what actually seals to the tub spout itself. With that done, we're going to take the tub spout and simply thread it onto the adapter. You just thread it by hand until it tightens down. Because we're using a dual system here, a separate brass adapter and a separate spout, as opposed to a slip spout which is all in one, as the spout tightens down onto the adapter, it's actually slowly pulling the copper from the wall closer into the shower. until it comes to a nice stopping point. Now, provided you have copper piping and not plastic piping like CPVC, which really shouldn't be used in this location, but I do sometimes see it, you aren't going to have any problems with pulling or putting a bind on your pipe. It's just going to pull it in just a little bit to snug it down, and then as you continue to tighten your tub spout, it's going to come to a nice firm stop right up against the shower wall. You won't have any gap, you won't have any play, no looseness, no wobbly spout. Remember earlier how I mentioned that inner seal was a little bit redundant? That's because we're going to take caulking and go ahead and seal around the base of the spout itself. You can also use silicone if you prefer. I just happen to think that white caulking has a cleaner look. One thing you want to make sure you don't do, however, is seal all the way around. If we are looking at the tub spout as if it's the face of a clock, I generally like to seal from around the 7 o'clock to the 5 o'clock position. You want to leave a small gap at the bottom so that if there is ever a leak within the spout, it has an opportunity to come out from the bottom and go into your tub rather than into the wall. Finally, clean up your caulking and congratulate yourself on a job well done. Thank you for watching. Remember, Jesus loves you. Have a great day.